I just love being on the bike, turning over the pedals and, you know, the sounds of the gears changing and the feeling in your legs when you stand up out of the saddle and you kind of start throwing the bars back and forth, and you can just feel the power into the back wheel, and you're rolling up the canyon and the cliffs going by you, and you can hear the creek running next to you. You know, everything kind of melts away, and you're just there on the bike, and I don't know, it's just peaceful. I think a lot of times when people are going through the darkness of addiction, life is just kind of muted a little bit. It's, you know, clouded through the bottom of a pint glass or, you know, a line of cocaine. That's kind of what it felt like when I was in the middle of my addiction, you know? Every day was like that. I mean, I didn't really have a good day. I had days that were not as bad as others, you know, and it just felt kind of gray. And just being on the bike with friends gives you a place to vent and talk about stuff, and is a way to kind of celebrate life. That's just the human experience, whether you're in recovery or not. And I thought, how do we give that to other people? And that's where the idea of Phoenix came from.
I'll see you.
My name is Nick Nesbit. I'm 35 years old and recovering addict and alcoholic. Been sober now for about going on 5 years.
Yeah, let's see him.
I got drug-free on my knuckles, as you can probably see right now, and I don't know, it just meant a lot to me to just show the world that I'm drug-free. Back in Boston, I was a bike courier back then. At that same time, that's when I picked up my heroin habit too. I didn't realize the dangers of heroin. I don't know, now I don't even know why I'm even talking about this now, but I don't even know what I wanted to say about Boston anymore. The whole overdose thing. Should I get into that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, my last time using, it was a suicide attempt. Then they found me in time and they got me going again, but because I stopped breathing for too long, it caused a lot of brain damage. My short-term memory is just very impaired. It's kind of hard to explain what I go through on a daily basis because of it, but I have to remember that I'm alive and a lot of people have it a lot worse than me. I guess sometimes I forget how lucky. I'm gonna go outside for a sec. If I wasn't part of Phoenix, I wouldn't be talking to you guys and I wouldn't be here. It's just a reminder of how many people there are out there like me.
There's the man right there. What up, dude?
I'm Scott Strode. I'm the executive director of Phoenix Multisport. Phoenix Multisport is a nonprofit. We work with folks in recovery from substance abuse, and we introduce them into athletics as a new sort of healthy and positive coping mechanism. So we get folks out climbing and camping and doing triathlon and strength training and yoga and boxing and all these different activities as a way to build their peer group with folks that support them in their recovery.
I am Michelle. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I work with Phoenix Multisport. We run roughly 55 events a week in the Boulder, Denver, and Colorado Springs area. And we run all of those events free to anybody who has a commitment to sobriety.
That was absolutely thrilling.
Nice job. We have probably 1,400 contacts a month. One guy might come to 5 or 6 events a week. One person might come to 1 event a month. It depends on sort of their need and their desire for the social connection.
The emphasis and what we're really trying to do is get people meeting other people wanting to do the same things so that they can go take bike rides, hang out, and not be surrounded by alcohol and drugs.
I think a lot of people, when they get sober, they intentionally isolate because they don't want to be triggered to relapse or to use again. But you got to go get out of your house. You got to go reconnect with people. The bike or the boxing clinic or whatever it is just a way to open up the dialogue. It's how do we connect socially? How do we find self-confidence? How do we, find a group of friends that love us and that we love them for just who we are?
Nice job!
You may come in and find some peace and some calm in your life by doing yoga, but the room's also full of a bunch of people in recovery. I guess somebody's here. so I don't know, let's see who's at the door. People stop by kind of throughout the day.
What do you got here?
Oh, this is Tegan. He works down here in Denver. And Rorik, he kind of runs things in our Denver operations.
We host events down here on a nightly basis, anything from crafts night to movie night, all the way up to level 3 boxing. So we really try and provide something that anybody who comes in the door can find some place where they feel 100% accepted.
What's going on this week?
Ton of stuff. There's always something going on at Phoenix.
Tonight's our biggest night of boxing. This whole gym pretty much fills up. What looks like a fairly large gym becomes an incredibly small one pretty quick.
We have team members from all different backgrounds. I mean, we have folks that are just getting out of jail, that are trying to stay clean and sober. And then we also have folks that just live in the nicest neighborhoods in Boulder or Denver. But the nice thing about Phoenix being free is that it allows people to access it whether or not they can afford to go to treatment.
I'm Claude Payon. I just came in from Georgia.
So I'm here with Phoenix Multisport at Boulder Rock Club. So I'm looking forward to meeting some new people and getting to climb with them.
Let's see, let's find it.
When I was 9-10 months sober, I was kind of getting bored in my recovery. And what my friends were doing is getting high, and that's not fun for me anymore. So I started asking, what do people do for fun? I met somebody who was really into climbing and said, hey man, will you take me? As soon as I started climbing, I just fell in love with it. I started going to the gym 2-3 times a week. Being active is something that's just been extremely important to my recovery. I have a community, a sober community in Georgia, but we don't have anything that's like this. I feel like a lot of people could really benefit from Phoenix Multisport.
Is he gonna hook you up with someone to climb with?
Yeah.
She'd be good. You should climb with him. We want to talk to you.
Okay, sure.
My name is Chelsea Daggett, and I'm a recovering alcoholic and a Phoenix team member.
All right, I'll do this yellow one right here.
Okay.
My memories of drinking are so dark that I don't want to go back to that. It is not a fun thing to be that girl at the liquor store at 9 o'clock in the morning, your hair all messed, makeup all over your face, if I even had makeup on, picking up, a couple shooters of vodka so that I can get through my day. And I'm okay. I'm okay not drinking.
Good job, Chelsea. You got it.
Meeting people with Phoenix, it's like you're instantly best friends. It's not awkward, it's not like, oh, hey, so what do you do for fun? It's like, hey, let's go climb.
How long have you been sober?
2 years and a month.
Sobriety rule.
It's just really empowering to be around so many people who are in recovery and doing so well, and it's a really good place to feel good about yourself.
When I was getting high and drinking, I wanted to feel good now. And climbing, it's the opposite of that. It's really hard work to feel really good. I fall and I look back at the problem and I have to decide what my next move is, how I have to position my body. I talk to somebody else, ask what their opinion is, ask how they did it. I know that I'm going to feel good and that this is going to be a great experience, but I'm going to have to work really hard to get there.
When I got sober, I kind of carried a lot of shame around. What I realized after a bunch of years is that there's nothing to be ashamed about. I'm actually a better person today because I'm sober, so we have all this stuff up here. You know, you got the sober t-shirt, which you'll see some of our crew wearing. And just being proud of the fact you're sober just opens it up for other people that are struggling to kind of reach out and ask for help. The logo, the phoenix rising from the ashes, you know, it's in mythology, the phoenix burned and was born again from its own ashes. You know, and that's just the story of recovery. They have to kind of like go to the darkest place before they can realize that they need to make a change. And I really think we just need moments where we can have a real perspective on our life that allows us to see how far we've slipped. You know, none of us as a kid say, I want to grow up and be a junkie. Our dreams kind of get stripped away from us through our use. And I think Phoenix is just about kind of giving those dreams back to people. I think my path, the drinking and drugging, you know, was pretty typical. I started using pretty young. Got into alcohol first, started smoking pot. One day I was buying pot, and I saw this other stuff. It was Coke. And they said, do you want to try it? And I tried it, and then I knew where to get it, and I was like the cool kid, you know? And at first it was very social, and then it went from that to doing it with a small group of pretty serious users to doing that stuff by myself. You know, their night would end and my sort of nightmare would just start. Every time I added alcohol, I sort of went off the rails. And I would never use drugs sober, but as soon as I would drink, I couldn't help it. I'd black out, and I'd come out of a blackout either trying to buy Coke or using Coke. And it got to a point where I couldn't stop that pattern. Pretty much any time I picked up a drink, it was going to turn into a 12, 20-hour bender of me drinking and using. So the next day I had to call up and sort of apologize for behaviors, or I'd done things that I didn't want to do. And, you know, it just kept getting darker and darker and darker the further on that continuum I went. The last night I used was, I was in my apartment alone, getting high, and you know, I had all the lights out because I was totally paranoid that my neighbors could hear me snorting lines. And, you know, I feel like it was the closest I've ever been to an overdose. You know, my heart was racing and could barely get a breath in. And I just thought, you know, this is how my life's going to end. And somebody will have to tell my mom that I died on the bathroom floor in a pile of cocaine. It was just thinking about how brokenhearted she would be. And that was the last night I used. I'll catch you guys later. Well, the idea of starting Phoenix really came from my own experience. You know, when I got sober, I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't know what people did other than go to the bars and go out drinking. And I thought, man, what do normal people do on a weekend? But at that point, I was only hanging out with alcoholics and addicts pretty much. And so once I stopped drinking, they stopped hanging out with me. And so I had to figure out, how do I find new friends? I started climbing and doing triathlons and boxing and all these other activities, and that became my fellowship. It became a place I could go where no one was going to ask me why I wasn't drinking that night, or if I wanted to go out and get high or whatever else. What I realized later is that every time I did those things, it started to repair my self-esteem. You know, as I thought of myself more as a mountaineer and a boxer and less as an addict, you know. When we go out for rides, we gotta go. We gotta track through the woods a little. We're near the Peak-to-Peak Highway. We're up above Ward in Jamestown, and we're headed up to Rocky Mountain National Park. Each year on the anniversary of my recovery, the day I got sober, I'd try to do something I wouldn't have been able to do when I was drinking and using. And I remember one year around New Year's, my climbing partner, Ben, and I came up here to Rocky Mountain National Park, and we were ice climbing up there near an area called Lock Vale, which is a place I come up and go climbing sometimes in the winter. In the summer, the national park's packed with people, but in the winter, it's a desolate place. You know, you get out of the car and you can hear the snow when it's like squeaks under your boots, and the silence that you get in the pine groves, you know, when the snow's falling, and it's just such a peaceful place. As we just spent the day out there, we realized that later is that we were kind of just celebrating our recovery. And you just look up at this thing, you know, this ice climb that just is stretching out before you, and you know, you're thinking this thing is only here for 2 months of the whole year, and then it's gone. Then it's just a mossy, wet rock. And the fact that we can strap these things on our boots and grab our ice axes and a rope and and climb this thing is just amazing. And New Year's came and went, and I didn't even think about drinking. I was 8 years sober at the time, and every year prior, I was like kind of white-knuckling, trying to get through New Year's. And what I realized is that I had just changed so much from who I was in my drug and alcohol use that it wasn't even a thought anymore. And I saw so many of my friends that were still struggling with wanting to use and wanting to drink, and I thought, man, how do we introduce them into the outdoors so that they can feel that same thing I felt the first time I put on a climbing harness and swung an ice axe in, or the first time I threw my leg over a road bike. I wanted to share that feeling with other people. My climbing partner, Ben, and I were up there, and he's in recovery too, and I just shared with him that, man, imagine if we could give this to other people, you know, if we could find a way to build a community where it's about just loving life and celebrating life together. And that's where the idea of Phoenix was born. So I think after those climbing trips, you know, thinking about starting Phoenix and starting a nonprofit, you know, really had no idea where to go with that, you know, once I decided to do it. I thought, oh, why don't I start with a logo, right? You need a logo. The first, you know, donation we got once we got our nonprofit status, you know, I bought a bunch of T-shirts and I gave them away to people that were living sober. And that helped get the word out, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But then I was still trying to do it part-time, and it was just tough to do. I mean, I felt like it never got traction, and finally I decided, you know, I'm gonna quit my job and just go for it and make this thing happen. And so the Phoenix office was born, and it was, you know, my living room and my sofa, and you know, so here we are today, you know, 5,800 people coming through our programs and 17 staff, and it's pretty cool. Well, you know, what's funny is I think that I wanted to start Phoenix because I thought it'd be great to share those experiences with other people, and I really thought it was for them. But after doing it for, you know, 5 years now, I realized that it was for me as much as it was for them, and that they helped lift me up, you know? The team members in Phoenix have helped save my life, I think, as much as Phoenix has helped save theirs.
So where I'm at in my life right now is I really want to start writing a book, a memoir about the struggles I've been through. This is my little short story that I wrote about. It's going to be a portion of my memoir. It's kind of a real dark side. It's let's see. This should be enough to do the trick. That was one of the final thoughts I remember circulating through my head. I've heard people say that it was always darkest before dawn, but it was really dark and dawn seemed like an eternity away. There was no way I could hang on until dawn. I don't recall the exact time of day, but what I do remember about that day was that I wanted it to be my last. This was the moment that I realized that I didn't want to live anymore. Hearing my own voice telling me to just kill myself. And I know there's a lot of memoirs out there about recovering addicts, and you know, you can find them anywhere. Mine might not be any different, and I don't care if it gets well known, but hopefully the right people find it who need to find it. Maybe they can learn from my mistakes.
I think when people talk about being in recovery, it means that it's a journey. Whether or not you should always be thinking of yourself as an addict or an alcoholic, it's always part of your story, but it doesn't mean that it dictates how the end of the book is going to be written. That's up to us.
I celebrated my 26th birthday yesterday, sober. Phoenix is the most amazing thing I've ever been a part of. I would not be where I am today. I would not feel how I feel today if it wasn't for Scott Strode and Phoenix Multisport, to know that I can come here and I can be safe and I can be sober and I can be around awesome sober people, and that's the best feeling in the whole world.
This active lifestyle has really just changed my life. You know, sobriety changed my life. And I think after that, you know, it's giving back to the community, and it's telling other people, look, there is a way to do something cool with your life.
And that's something that I just want to pass along.
I tell people about Phoenix all the time. I wear my Phoenix bracelet, my sobriety bracelet all day, every day. I want to help Phoenix expand. I want people to know about Phoenix. And if I could give back to the sober community like that, it would be an awesome, awesome accomplishment for me.
I want to go to school to be a nutritionist, physical therapist, somebody that, helps people. I feel like I could do whatever I really want to do. I have the support and I have people who are willing to help me do that.
Per Ignum et Astra, it's the Phoenix Multisport motto, and it means through fire to the stars. We all here in Phoenix, we started really low, and with Phoenix, we're going right up to the stars. Anything's possible now with Phoenix.
Things are good for you right now, right?
Yes, things are definitely good. I got the Phoenix program. I got my wife here, and we got a kid. You could be witnessing his first steps here too, so just keep that in mind. So this could be a big event, and I'm glad it's going to be documented.
You want a fish?
There we go. That's my guy. This is the bright light for me right here. A little boy named Ryder, and he's gonna go through his own struggles. Hopefully he doesn't have to go through the alcohol, drugs. Yeah, see? It's never in my life did I think I'd have a kid in my lap saying dada. My favorite thing to do nowadays is making French toast or pancakes for Ryder. Then we go for a bike ride with him, take him for a run, try to be the best dad I can for him, and it's nice that he won't have to know me as the heroin addict or the alcoholic. That this makes me real happy that I'll never know that side of me. I am a cyclist now, and runner, husband, father, just hopefully a better person than what I was when I was using. I'm just gonna, keep on going, keep on pushing until I make something of myself and make my kid and wife proud of me.
I've gone from alcoholic, don't know what he's doing with his life, to somebody in recovery, to a member of Phoenix, to an employee of Phoenix, and now, I essentially manage a facility for Phoenix. For me, it's an incredibly important story because even the person that's newest at Phoenix can potentially be running Phoenix at some point, and it's not the end for me, and I don't know where the end is, but it's really exciting to know that I don't have to be limited by what I think I can do.
Wow, it's beautiful up here. It's nice to be in the sun. Being part of Phoenix, every day you see people achieving their goals, just surprising themselves. And when you keep seeing that, you can't help but keep wanting to give that to other people. It's amazingly rewarding work. The future is just bright to me because life is filled with so much hope. And I'm grateful for every day. And I'm amazed with every day.
The staff that works for us now, they have such beautiful hearts, and I think of them every time I see somebody who's still using. I think inside there is a spirit, that can inspire people and that can be a leader and that can help change the world, and all they have to do is get clean before they can do it. The future of Phoenix to me is that the staff that works for us and the people that will work for us in the future end up sort of carrying the torch, and I'm able to kind of step back and just be a team member. Just be a guy in recovery showing up on a ride and just be part of this community. The Phoenix celebrated its 5-year anniversary this year, and I celebrated 15 years sober. You'd think that I'd have it figured out by now, but this whole thing's a journey, and we always think that we have this ceiling, of what we think we're capable of. And when we think we're bumping up against it, it just shatters, and we realize that, there's so much more that we can do in our lives, and I'm excited for what's coming next. I hope 10, 15, 20 years from now you'll see the logo of the Phoenix riding up one of these mountains somewhere, and it'll help people that are struggling know that there's something better out there for them.